I never thought the man I loved more than life itself would hand me the pieces of my shattered heart and ask me to keep smiling for his mother while he built a new family with someone else. My name is Lydia. For 3 years, I was Dr. Lydia, the wife of Captain Edwin, the man who used to call me his safe landing after every long flight. We had the kind of marriage people whispered about with envy. Those quiet mornings where his hand would rest gently on my waist as he kissed me goodbye before heading to the airport, his uniform still carrying the faint scent of airplane fuel. Those late nights when he'd come home exhausted from crossing oceans, but his eyes would still light up the moment he saw me waiting with a warm meal or just a simple hug. I thought we were unbreakable, like the vows we exchanged under a soft spring sky. But life has this cruel way of showing you how fragile everything you hold dear really is, especially when someone from the past flies back in and changes everything. We met when I was finishing my residency at the hospital. Edwin was this charming, confident pilot, always stepping off the plane in that crisp uniform that made my heart skip a beat every single time. He had this way of making me feel like the only woman in the entire sky and on the ground. Our first dates were filled with stories of his adventures in the air and my long hours saving lives on the ground. Our wedding was simple, but overflowing with so much love, friends and family laughing together, toasting to our future, and Edwin whispering in my ear that I was his forever, his anchor, no matter how turbulent the flights got. For 3 beautiful years, we built a life that felt like a dream. Sunday mornings meant his terrible coffee that I'd tease him about endlessly while we read the news in bed. Late night talks about our hopes of starting a family one day, imagining little ones running around with his smile and my eyes. The kind of quiet comfort where I never once doubted that we truly belonged to each other through every takeoff and every landing. Then Jenny came back into his life, and slowly, the clouds started gathering. She was an air hostess, stunning, always perfectly put together with that confident smile flight crew seemed to wear like armor. The first time I saw them together at a company dinner, something deep in my stomach twisted painfully. The way she looked at him wasn't just friendly. It lingered to long to familiar, like they shared secrets I wasn't part of. When I mustered the courage to tell Edwin, I felt uneasy about it. Later that night, he pulled me close, kissed my forehead softly, and said in that reassuring voice, "Baby, she's just an old friend from my early flying days. Don't let your beautiful mind create problems that aren't there. You're the only one I come home to."
I wanted to believe him with every fiber of my being. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. But the late night calls started creeping in. "Emergency schedule changes," he'd explain quickly before stepping out. Texts that made my phone buzz on the nightstand while he was in the shower. The fights began quietly at first. Little questions from me that turned into cold silences between us. Then they grew louder and more frequent. "You're imagining things, Lydia. Why can't you trust me?" he'd shout, his voice echoing through our once peaceful home. "I'm not a child, Edwin. I can feel when something is wrong between us. This isn't just my imagination anymore. Our home, once warm and filled with laughter and love, slowly became a battlefield of slammed doors, heavy silences and unspoken accusations. The happy family we had, dreamed about for so long, started fading away like a beautiful dream you can't quite hold on to in the morning light. I found myself crying alone in the car after long shifts at the hospital, wondering where my husband had gone and if the man I married was slipping away for good. Then came the day that completely broke me inside, the moment that changed everything forever. Edwin brought her to my hospital. Jenny looked pale and unwell, complaining of dizziness and nausea that wouldn't go away. As her doctor, I ran the tests myself, my professional hands moving on autopilot even as my heart raced with dread. When the results came back, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Positive, she was pregnant. A baby, his baby. I stood there in the quiet of the lab, staring at the report, feeling the world tilt beneath my feet like turbulence on one of his flights. This wasn't just some passing fling or emotional affair. There was now a child involved, an innocent life that should have been part of the future we planned together, but instead belonged to the woman who had stolen my husband's heart and time. I took a deep breath, composed myself as best I could, and walked into the examination room where Edwin was waiting with her. I'll never forget how he held her hand a little too tightly, his thumb gently rubbing her knuckles in that protective way he used to do with me. My voice came out barely steady as I delivered the news. "Jenny is pregnant, Edwin." He didn't even flinch. Instead, he looked at me with this calm, almost relieved expression and said, "She's alone in this, Lydia. I have to take care of her." It's the right thing to do. The baby needs a father, and I can't turn my back on that responsibility. The right thing. For her, not for me. Not for the sacred vows we took on our wedding day. Not for the life we had carefully built together over 3 years. In that moment, I felt something deep inside me crack wide open, like glass shattering under too much pressure. From that day forward, everything shattered even more completely. Whenever Jenny called, and those calls came constantly, at all hours, he ran to her side without a second thought. There were endless doctor appointments that he attended with her, sitting through ultrasounds and holding her hand while I sat at home alone, staring at the empty side of our bed. Midnight cravings for specific foods that only he could satisfy, emotional breakdowns, where she apparently needed him to talk her through the pregnancy hormones and fears. He was always there for her, missing dinners, canceling our plans, and leaving me to pick up the pieces. Meanwhile, I was left behind taking care of his mother, that arrogant woman who had never truly accepted me from the beginning. She shouted at me like I was hired help instead of her daughter-in-law, her voice sharp and demanding. "Lydia, get my medicine right now. Can't you see I'm in pain after all these years? Lydia, this house is a mess again. What do you even do all day at that hospital of yours instead of taking care of family?" Every single day I swallowed my tears, pushed down the hurt, and kept going for the sake of duty and the love I still clung to. I was exhausted, emotionally drained from pretending everything was okay in front of colleagues and patients, physically tired from my demanding hospital shifts, and spiritually broken from watching my marriage dissolve day by day. Our circle of friends and family knew what was happening. I saw the pity in their eyes at gatherings, the awkward silences when his name came up. Everyone whispered behind my back that Captain Edwin had fallen hard for the beautiful air hostess, especially now that she was carrying his child, that he cared for her and their unborn baby far more than he had ever cared for me. Jenny grew bolder with time, her confidence swelling along with her belly. She started sending me pictures and videos directly, as if to twist the knife deeper into my already bleeding heart. There was Edwin gently rubbing her growing belly at appointments, smiling softly like a proud, expecting father. Edwin laughing with her over dinner, his arm wrapped protectively around her shoulders. Edwin buying baby clothes, tiny shoes, and even setting up a nursery in one of the spare rooms of our home. In one particularly painful video, she looked straight into the camera with cold, triumphant eyes, her hand resting on her rounded belly, and said slowly, "Just divorce him already. Lydia, he doesn't love you anymore. He's with me now, and we're building our family together." Those messages destroyed me in ways I can't even fully describe. I cried for days in the quiet solitude of our old apartment, tears soaking my pillow as memories flooded back. I screamed into that same pillow until my throat was raw and aching. I questioned every beautiful memory we shared. The vacations, the inside jokes, the promises. Was any of it real? Did he ever truly love me, or was I just the stable, reliable wife who waited patiently at home, while he chased excitement in the clouds and now played house with his pregnant mistress? The thought of that baby, innocent as it was, being the living proof of his betrayal made the pain cut even sharper, like a wound that refused to heal. Nights blurred into days as I struggled with sleeplessness, my mind replaying every moment. But deep inside, through all the darkness, something powerful started to shift. The pain that almost completely destroyed me began forging something stronger in its place, a quiet, burning resolve that grew with every tear I wiped away. I realized I couldn't keep pouring my love and energy into someone who kept choosing someone else, especially not while another woman carried his child and paraded their new life so openly in front of me. I had to choose myself. I asked Edwin for divorce one evening after another long absence. He refused at first, his voice full of guilt, excuses, and desperation. "I can't lose you, Lydia. Mom needs you here so much. The baby is coming soon, and I need you to be the bigger person right now. We can figure this out somehow for everyone's sake." The bigger person. While he rushed off to birthing classes with Jenny, decorated a nursery that should have been for our future children, and gave her the emotional support I once received. I moved back to our old place for a while to gain some clarity, still checking on his mother regularly because despite the heartbreak, I have a heart that refuses to turn completely cold. But Edwin crossed the final, unforgivable line when he brought Jenny into our home, Her belly was noticeably bigger now, and she carried herself with an air of ownership, like she already belonged there more than I ever did. She was rude and dismissive to his mother from the very start, complaining loudly about the old woman's demands while she lounged on our couch, eating snacks and scrolling through her phone. All she seemed to care about was securing the house, the money, and the comfortable lifestyle Edwin provided. One night, her dramatic cries carried through the walls as she spoke to him in the living room. "I have nothing for our child, Edwin. I'm so scared. How will we manage once the baby arrives? I need more security for us, for our future." And just like that, without hesitation, he handed her his card, unlimited access to everything we had worked so hard for together. Later that same week, he looked at me with genuine surprise in his eyes and said softly, "You never once asked me for money, Lydia. Not even when things were hard for you at the hospital. Not like her. No, Edwin, I never did. Because I loved you, not your salary, not your pilot status, not the luxurious life it bought. I loved the man I thought you were, the one who promised me forever." That was the turning point. I stopped being silent and started collecting every piece of evidence quietly and methodically, like the careful, precise doctor I've always been trained to be. Screenshots of every message and video Jenny sent to hurt me, voice recordings of our arguments and his excuses, statements from mutual friends who had witnessed too much, even notes from her pregnancy visits that confirmed the timeline. I prepared everything with calm determination, piece by piece. Then one calm evening, I sat him down and handed him the divorce papers. He stared at them, completely shocked, his usual pilot confidence cracking right in front of me for the first time. "Lydia, please come back home. Mom needs proper care. The baby will be here any day now. We can still fix this. Don't do this." I laughed. It was a cold, broken, but strangely freeing laugh that rose from somewhere deep inside my soul. "Why don't you ask Jenny to take care of your mother? Since she's so good at taking everything else that once belonged to me, including your time, your child, and your heart." His face changed completely in that moment. For the first time, I saw real heavy regret wash over him. Not just because he was losing me, but because he finally saw the full weight of what he had destroyed. My dignity, my trust, the woman who had stood by him through every flight, every storm, and every challenge. My appearance that day, and strong, composed, no longer begging or breaking, seemed to hit him harder than any argument we'd ever had, especially knowing another woman was about to have his baby in the home we once shared. But it was far too late for regrets. The divorce process took weeks, filled with painful meetings, lawyers, and emotional exhaustion. But it was finally registered. I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high, even though my heart was still healing in slow, tender pieces. Jenny got the man she had fought so hard for, but she also inherited his arrogant mother, his endless excuses, and a relationship built entirely on betrayal, convenience, and hidden cracks. Last I heard through distant friends, things weren't nearly as perfect as she had imagined. Once the baby arrived and reality set in, the captain who once flew so high was now grounded by the heavy consequences he had created all by himself. As for me, I returned to my patients with a clearer sense of purpose and compassion. I went back to healing others while slowly, day by day, healing myself through quiet routines and new beginnings. I rediscovered the strong, capable woman I had been before I made him my entire world. I started traveling on my own terms, taking short trips that brought me peace. I spent quiet evenings reading books I had set aside for years, journaling my thoughts, and surrounding myself with people who truly valued and respected me. The pain didn't vanish overnight, but it softened into a scar that reminded me of my resilience. If you're watching this right now and you're carrying the heavy pain of betrayal, especially when children or new life are involved in the story, if someone is making you feel crazy for noticing the truth in your own home, please hear my words from the heart. Your worth is not measured by how much you can tolerate or how long you can stay silent. Real love should never cost you your peace, your dignity, or your future. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not just when it's convenient or when circumstances force their hand. I lost my marriage, but in finally letting go, I found myself again, stronger, wiser, and full of hope. And that quiet victory, that is the greatest revenge of all. Thank you for listening to my story with an open heart. If you've ever been betrayed, drop a "yar" in the comments. You are not alone in this journey. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is release what no longer serves you and watch how your own sky opens up again, brighter than before. This is Lydia, finally choosing peace, one healed day at a time.